and welcome back to DJFM. Whatever this hell this is that I talk about in my free time to make me seem less crazy. But right now it seems like airports can't win for like the last 2 years. Flight airlines seem like they're making the news and just some random shit every time. It's like they're not striking wins. Like they came out with the detachable doors and now they're getting rid of carry-ons for second baggage. People are just up in flames. I feel like that's the biggest news that like popped off besides all the crazy shit that's happening in the government right now. But what are they doing? Why are you taking away the second bag? There's not a lot of good things when you fly, but damn, having a second bag for your carry-on, it was not bad. So we get to pack more stuff. We're not stressing. We're not having to meet criteria. We're not having to lug around another roller bag just to make it through the piece. But now they're charging you. I don't think that's not right. Like Southwest should come in with something better. I mean, they're not offering a whole lot. You gotta fight for your seat on the plane. Why are you taking away the second bag? To be fair, there's a lot of people that do go overboard with it though. They kind of try to jerry-rig the system so they can actually meet it and not have to worry about trying to shove that bag in another spot. I get why, to make money, but when I'm looking at it, I'm like, it might be a good idea. Because so many people fucking will try to jump the system, do whatever they want. Not whatever they want, but try to like make it into something, like compact their bag in such a way that they can actually fit into the little spots that they're going to go. They don't just go, oh, we're going to use this perfect bag that is meant for the area. We're going to get a bag, but we're going to squish it and shove it into a corner. Not like, hey, we'll take a breath, we'll relax, we don't have to worry about it. We'll be fine. I think if people actually all follow the rules and not try to game the system, they might have never taken away. But I mean, most people are flying nowadays. They're probably trying to cut prices. Why do you take away one of the only things that people are enjoying on a Southwest flight? They're getting online, having to sit through a bunch of people, and they might have to get into a knife fight on that plane just to even find a seat that they like. If someone takes it, then they're screwed, and they're in the middle. No one's happy. You can't pay for a seat in Southwest. It's really just a free-for-all. It's a Hunger Games style airline. No one's coming for it. You gotta find and defend your own land on a Southwest flight. I think most people should just switch to Spirit. It's not like they got anything crazy going on. Southwest, you might be flying on a cargo plane, but hey, they'll get you to your destination no matter what. And you know what? You can have a carry-on. You can have a second bag. They don't care. If it fits, it flies. If it doesn't exceed the weight limit, then you're okay. But it's not gaining the system. Like everybody's trying to defend Southwest to the end. And I'm like, it seems like a Toys R Us of airlines. I don't think we need to defend Southwest. We could just let them be. It's like, yeah, it's an airline, but it's not the best shitty airline. I guess if you're gonna look at it, it's like Spirit and Southwest. And Southwest was making strides to be one of the higher end of the shitty airlines. But I honestly, after this wholesale, I think they're back at the bottom. I think they're fighting with Spirit Airlines. And I'll fly Spirit. I don't mind it. Spirit Airlines will get you to your destination without a worry. They will get you there in a matter of seconds. They don't care. They're like, oh, it's -30, runways are frozen, we just defrosted the wings, we're getting there. And we're about to be at your destination in no time. Don't worry about it. Literally, Southwest would fly me back to Illinois during the dead of winter. And this was like -30 polar vortex. Everything was shutting down. And I'm sitting in the airport getting ready to go catch this flight. I'm just hearing is like, oh, we're getting pushed back more and more because the runways are frozen and the weather's getting a little crazy. I'm like, probably try to catch another flight tomorrow. It just might be safer. The weather hopefully can ease up a little bit. But if they're gonna keep canceling the flights, that's what we're just gonna have to do. And it's about like after a 4-hour delay, they start boarding the plane. I'm like, okay, maybe we'll get there. I don't plan on it. They'll probably deboard us, send us back, but there's a chance. And we all get on the plane and we start taking off. I'm like, no fucking way. I'm like, I'm just gonna try to sleep through this flight because I don't know if we're gonna land. And through this flight, I woke up like 5 times because the plane's just going through the storm and you just hear like shaking and rattling like something crazy. And I hear the flight and we're like, we're getting ready to land. I just hear over the speakers like, we've had some severe weather in the Chicago area recently, so we'll be having a kind of a rockier landing. Please brace for the approach. And I'm like, what? I don't think a pilot's supposed to say that. I'm pretty sure you're just supposed to be like, we have gotten to our landing. Please buckle up, fasten, and put your seatbelts on while we approach. Not, hey, this might be a little bit of a rough landing, so make sure you have a stern grip on the seat. It's like, oh, fuck. That's not good. So we start flying, and once we hit, you hear a bump. You feel this giant bump happen, and then the plane just starts to slide. You're like, oh, God. Props to the pilot. Like, I think he got it, and we got to the gate. I was like, oh, fuck. We just, like, slide into the gate pretty easily, and then I'm like, oh, fuck. I'm at the gate. I'm just, like, holding on to the seat, like, white knuckling it, being like, dude, fucking Tokyo drifting a plane to the gate. I'm like, hey, I'm not hating on it. Honestly, if these are the kind of pilots Spirt Airlines is getting, maybe we should get more of them. But then I think in the back of my head, I'm like, what kind of pilots are they getting if this is the kind of landing we're taking? Some old NASCAR driving pilots are like, yeah, I can make this skid. Don't worry about it. I've done easier shit in a souped up Subaru. I can make this tail whip. I need water. Damn. But yeah, props to the pilot. I got off the plane. Airport was beyond dead. Every flight's been canceled. It's coming in. We were literally the last flight. And I looked outside. I was like, it's like almost 2 feet of snow. I was like, Jesus fuck. But that's the trade-off between the kind of pilots you get in different airlines. Like Southwest, you got to fight for your seat. It's like Black Friday every time you get on a plane. You don't know what's going to happen. You got to make sure you're strapped. Or Spirit Airlines, you get your seat. It's not the best seat. Every seat's the same. Whether you're in first class, coach, doesn't matter. You get the same thing. You'll all be in bucket seats, praying to God that there's a helmet underneath. So when that landing happens, you don't have to worry about a concussion. But hey, they actually have good pilots. They'll get you to any destination that you need to get to, no matter the condition. Severe weather warning that has grounded and canceled almost every flight. Do that area, no problem. You're about to have the most amazing flight in you've ever had in your life because you have a Spirit Airlines pilot that does not want to be constrained by the man and is allowed to do tail whips. It's allowed to Tokyo drift his plane into the gate. Those are the kind of pilots that you'll have. yeah, that was a tangent. I didn't know where I was going with that, but we'll circle back to something different. If I have any brain power left in my head. The crazy thing is, like, the newest thing I think that's come out recently for any Disney, not Disney stuff, but like superhero stuff. We're still waiting for like DC to come out with their new movie, but that's not going to be, I think, till later this year. I think it's set as a summer release for Superman. And after that, it'll be kind of interesting to see how that tone it gets set up after that. Like, what kind of characters are they bringing in? How is that? I know they've already laid out the movies, but how is that structure of setup going to be, and how is that universe going to be kind of created in that manner? I mean, James Gunn was like working for Kevin Feige for years, so he probably picked up a few skills, you would think. But I don't fucking know. I mean, I feel like Disney might be coming back. Like, with the Marvel stuff, if Daredevil is any indicator of what is yet to come, then it might be actually good. I think there might be on a change of path. I don't want to jinx it. That's the thing. But I think they're shifting to something better, a better idea of what the universe could be, not such a random, like a garble goop of bunch of shit. Because I watched the last 3 episodes of Daredevil, and they're basically just taking that universe and actually saying it's in the MCU. I mean, they took when they were on Netflix and they were a Netflix TV show, they were like, oh, it's in the MCU, kinda, but not really. You're like, well, is it or isn't it? Well, it is, because they've always mentioned kind of like stuff that's going on, like in the Luke Cage stuff or Jessica Jones or Daredevil. I think some Iron Fist they mentioned, made like comments about Thanos and everybody turning to ash and stuff like that. But like, they're allowing them to get little, and they came to here, like Daredevil's the Kingpin, and is it I forget, Killshot or Bullseye? I think it's Bullseye. He was like the first episode. But it's gory. Like, it's more gory than I thought this series was gonna be, especially being on a Disney Plus platform. It was almost like the opening scene. I don't mean to spoil it, but it was like straight up killing people. I was like, I did not expect this. Like, there was, in the first episode especially, I think there was a lot more, I think, issues with the creation of the show. Like, they did some CGI of him like swinging around buildings, like what he does in the comics with his retractable nunchucks. But it just looked bad. I'd rather him not do that and just have him kind of leap around and jump, if that's kind of what we're getting at with this. Because it doesn't need to happen. You can make this show really cool and not have him be this, like, swinging around from building to building. Like, we already have a character in Marvel that does that kind of fits that MO that you guys are already utilizing in a big way. Just, I don't think that needs to happen with him. Like, just bring it back down to ground level shit and kind of how he operates in that system. Like, I think the storyline that's set up is not bad, especially with the first season of this coming back. They took a long break, tried to rebuild it all, and now they're reattempting it. And what they're all going to try to add to it would be interesting. Like, the concept is going to be to bring back every character. It's like, so far they've brought back Daredevil and Punisher. We're waiting for Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, and Iron Fist. I think this, like, if they do this right, it could be what they were trying to do on Netflix, but they started to peter off because they did such a good job with the Daredevil series. They did okay with Luke Cage. Jessica Jones wasn't bad. Like, it was like Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and then Iron Fist. Nobody liked Iron Fist. It was okay, but it wasn't It wasn't the same. And if they can loop it back around to what it was, what it is, what they could have done, it'd be interesting. I want it to succeed because they've already have the massive villain that they had in the original setup was the hand. The hand, I think, or is the hand Ninja Turtles? Am I getting that confused? But they have the hand because the foot is Ninja Turtles. Sorry, brain fart. But if they can build it into an actual structured universe to make it like you feel the cohesiveness, and you don't need just one character to bring the show together, it'd be cool because they have Kingpin. They have a major villain level right now, and how he's been stretched across the Marvel right now is actually not bad because you've kind of built his storyline across. You built his storyline across a couple different shows like Hawkeye, Daredevil, Echo. So he's had appearances, and we're just kind of waiting for him to show up in a movie, which I think is more likely to happen sooner rather than later. I think I'd see them putting him in a Spider-Man movie for sure. Something that it would actually like fit into his character. Because Kingpin and Spider-Man have had like rivalries in the past before, and Spider-Man fluctuates kind of from a ground level hero to a major big scene hero. So like hanging out with Daredevil and those guys that fight the small end. But after that, you're kind of like curious what they're doing next. And if they're going to tie it all in together. Because I know they're building all this Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist. But I wonder if they'll bring them near and put them into the MCU. Or they're just going to let them, not in, but like into the movie platforms. Or they're just going to have them set out on their own. Because you can definitely do both, but I think you either bring in a high level character into their shows, or you bring in a show character into the movies. But you probably should do both, because I know the Punisher character he's done, and that might be the character you do. Like have him meet if you have him you already have, because Daredevil was in Spider-Man and that was the kind of solidifier, but you can have so much fun with Spider-Man in those characters. That's where the crossover is going to happen, is with Spider-Man and all these characters, because you can't really do it with like Hawkeye. You can, but him in the comic books, it's not really the same thing. Like the relationship that Hawkeye has with Daredevil and the Punisher, Spider-Man has a stronger relationship with all these characters. I'd be curious to see how they do it. Are they going to build the universe? They should really try to build just lock Tom Holland in, put him in a contract where he's Spider-Man until he's 55, and let him be that. Let him do movies on the side. He doesn't have to do everything, but just keep him captive under the mouse for a little bit. Don't let him run away too far. Just be like, hey, you're our Spider-Man, man. We can put this entire thing on you. Be our next Robert Downey Jr. Be Iron Man. But I also think that Tom Holland's still a little young. It would be cool if you could just have him be Spider-Man for the next however long in his career, but Robert Downey Jr. locked in when he was, I think, in his late 30s, early 40s. Was his character for such a long time. Tom Holland still has some time where he's like, I want to kind of be an actor in other ways and do this. I'm like, but you're Spider-Man. I get it. You fell in love with Zendaya and you want to have a life, but hey, be Spider-Man for a couple more years. I think it's not bad. It's not a bad trade-off. Just empower an entire new generation like Iron Man, like Robert Downey Jr. did with Iron Man. Get him to fall in love with comic books. It's possible. It's not the end of the world. You can definitely do your own thing. He did. He was Sherlock Holmes. But I don't think he wants to die as Spider-Man being the only character he's ever done. He's a great actor. It shouldn't be, but just be Spider-Man. That's all I'm asking. Dude, yeah. Well, I think in the next couple of years we'll actually see if they can get back on track. But I think they're in the right direction for now. It's going to take them a while, but they're in the right direction for now. I have no good transitions because the next topic I'm going to be like, hey, Epstein. I can't transition to save my life. I'm thinking of like how to maneuver it from comic books to a pedophile island, and I'm like, I don't have anything. So, yeah, they came out with the file. I think last 2 weeks ago, they released the files for Epstein. The CIA or the FBI, one of the two entities, released Epstein or gave binders of the Epstein files to influencers, which is weird. The act of doing that is really weird. And it was just like, why? Isn't there anything else you could have done? Isn't there... You could have presented this information in a better way and not have the country just call into question. But I don't think they had... They are trying... I think they're trying to act like they're putting stuff out, but not really put stuff out. And hopefully that people... By putting out these binders to influencers of information that's already been open to the public, people will kind of just forget about it and be like, they're not actually going to do it. But so many people want them to. Again, it's like those questions. Like, I don't know if they will. There's probably just so many people who are implemented in this problem that they don't want to harm or they don't want to put in jeopardy. But if that's the case, shouldn't they face the issues that they've already built up, so we're not calling into question anything? It's crazy. What are they hiding? And why put these out? Like, they're gonna fool the entire public. Like, oh, look at these binders. This is the Epstein files, and just releasing the same shit. It's like, I don't. It's like repackaging a gift you've already given to somebody and being like, I've never used it. You have it. You have never seen this before. Like, dude, I gave this to you last Christmas. I'm like, no. This is actually the same thing I gave you for your birthday. The blender, the entire thing. It's not even opened. Tape is completely sealed. It's just been sitting in your room for 6 months. Yeah, it has. Well, now is a gift for you. But people keep saying, like, a lot of people are saying that there's a possibility that it never gets released, which I can see, because it can definitely easily get buried and forgotten about if nobody pulls it into attention. Especially nowadays where there's so much shit going on, something like this, if people aren't constantly asking and trying to see what the issues are or trying to see what it is, then they're not gonna release anything. Because they realize that, the government, nobody's paid attention. And if like 4 or 5, like 15, 20, 30 people still are like hounding them, they're still not going to release it. Which is interesting. Which is an interesting thing that they gave these binders to influencers that are kind of like conspiracy theorists, or like they do their own groundbreaking news on conspiracy theories that could be that have possibilities of being real. Because then it's not going to go away. It might not be. It actually might increase them being on your tail. And especially with people with this amount of influence. Like, hey, Can you tell me what's going on? You said you would. You said you were going to come out with it. Where is it? But I feel like there's also so much stuff they don't know. They have these possibilities, a lot of possibilities, but they also have all this information that they're not coming out with. Because it was at the center of, not the senator, but one of the Congress people said that they've been withholding information of the Epstein files. Why is, because some magically appeared on their desk, or like the CIA came out and said that they have not gone through everything, that they found more. Why is this sitting there? Why haven't you guys, why did you hide this back? You act like people aren't going to ask questions. This was a major thing. It was a pedophile ring that has been, not a pedophile ring, but like it was and it wasn't. Like there was people of multiple ages, and it's such an interesting thing that nobody was like, the fact that it happened now, where social media and the internet is a big proponent, it probably won't go away. Like people are going to be curious about what it is that they're talking about, what it is that went on, and how they can get their hands on it. And if they think it's going to go away, it's interesting because it's not. It seems like it's not. But we're only really going to tell. I don't even think the guy. They keep saying, they said that he died, and I think they probably. Oh, I saw a meme that's like, of a grainy picture of a dude that kind of looked like Epstein in a van. Like, oh look, Epstein's still alive. Well, maybe he might be, and I think there's reasons to believe that he is, but there's also reasons to believe he's not. I think, I don't know what I think he's probably, the likelihood of him being alive is higher than the likelihood of him being dead. And I say this only because cameras were shut off, they broke his neck, and they left. And then I never really understood to see if they had the actual body. I kind of just assumed and took it on like how it is. But someone with that many connections, to think that, oh, he just died. I'm like, and they just, camera shut off, they strangled him and hung him there. I'm like, well, maybe if he pissed off the wrong people. But this man was very connected. He had a very... So to think that he could just get out and didn't have an opportunity to sneak out. Because Janine Maxwell is still alive. Why would they only kill one person? Especially if it's... Maybe it's... the more I try to reason this out in my head, the more I'm like, dude, there's no way he's not dead. No way he's dead. He's for sure alive. Because what are they going to do? The idea that he is a national security possibility for intelligence operation for the Israel government is something that is a theory that I did hear, which does have some possibilities. But the fact that he's an intelligence operation at all I think is a higher possibility than him being killed because he's in a pedophile ring. And the way they did it to pretend that he got strangled, was that's actually not a bad move. Because no one's going to ask questions after that. A lot of people would just push that under the rug and go, he probably didn't die. He probably did die. He's a pedophile. He's not a pedophile, but he did all these crazy stuff, brought them in. But if he did die, then why is P. Diddy still around? Because it's almost the same issue. And nobody's gone after him. Unless P. Diddy's under more. But it would be interesting to see if we get any information because the P. Diddy case and the Epstein case have very similar things going on with them. But the way that these two are attacking the issue I think are very different. And if P. Diddy is the same as Epstein, then he's an intelligence operation, then the idea that hip-hop was created by the government is a possibility. Not, or maybe not created, but has been infiltrated by the government for them to create and do this whole thing. So it would be interesting. We're never going to get the files. Trump has said, but we will probably never get these files. And we're just going to have to make peace with that. It'd be cool if we did. Same with the JFK, Martin Luther King. But with how things have gone, that's not a possibility. But we'll see. I think time will tell. Hopefully, if that does happen, it happens within the next couple months, not after his presidency. If it was anything after his presidency will not happen. They're just gonna be like, fuck you. You don't get to know. This is a secret now. It's our little secret. It's our little secret. It's like right now too. Is like Trump's facing. People were just attacking him. I thought after the first round, people kind of like dial back, but again, he has not done himself any favors in kind of how he's operated. He's kind of just been taking a wrecking ball to everything and being like, we're going to rebuild it, which is, I do think there needs to be a restructuring, but probably not as so blatant or like destructive as he's kind of doing. I do get it that he is only in there for 4 years and he's trying to do a lot of big crazy things to change stuff in the amount of time that he has, but to restructure the entire thing, you should probably take just a slower approach. But again, if he took a slower approach and didn't cause this kind of chaos and shook hands, smiled, then he might not get anywhere. You'll probably just get everything won't move. It would revert back to this everything that it was. And the model that he keeps like that you're pitching on is like we need it, but it's gonna hurt in the beginning and it's gonna be fine in the end. Like, well, I do get that, but the hurt is what deters a lot of people from it happening, because it's gonna cause a struggle for us in the time it is, and then the time it is occurring, and then hopefully we can get everything back on track. And it's hard to pitch people that idea because they look at the situations that they're in at this current moment and kind of go, I don't know if it's worth it to wait that long to see if there's any kind of change. I need change now. Things are happening now. There's problems now. But there's problems now because people allow things to kind of get out of hand. Like, yeah, we did some good and try to help certain things, but if we allowed this kind of bloat to continually occur and nothing is attended to, then we will be facing a much bigger downturn later on. We'll see. I think they're going to try to impeach him again, but I kind of want to see if he can last his entire term. They didn't try to impeach a dead guy who was in office, who was taking a lot of vacation and eating a lot of ice cream on the beach. So maybe just let it to see if it plays out. Maybe he can get it to work. A lot of I know every time it comes out and tries to do something, it does seem a much more drastic approach than it needs to be. But to me, a lot of his actions seems like he's strongholding other countries or strongholding other issues, so he can kind of push it forward to get the outcome that he's looking for, and is not bent to the will of whatever is occurring. Which I think might be a little harder for people to grasp, especially people who freak out on him when he's like, "Oh, we're opposing 25% increase on certain tariffs." I'm like, well, if you look at how things are set up, it probably will not happen like that, because a lot of countries depend on our exports. We don't depend. I'm curious. What country deals with the most amount of exports? China. Okay. Should be a list somewhere, right? The most. China is the largest. Total China. Okay. Countries largest exports. Should be top countries for exports. China, United States, Germany, Japan, South Korea, Netherlands, Italy, Belgium, France, and Hong Kong. Yeah, okay. That actually explains it. Because if we set number 2 as exports, and we're sending tariffs, on our goods, it kind of just will set a precedence that we have to operate with our own imports. Imports are United States, China. We're the top 10 import countries, and we're one of the top 10 imports. Imports, largest goods importer in the world. The United States is the largest importer. Okay, well, it's interesting when we're largest importer and largest exporter, but it seems like our imports. I wonder if it's because we send a lot of things to other countries to help them get built and kind of have the construction work for the product because it's cheaper in other overseas. Maybe that's the point, to diminish us outsourcing these products and bringing everything internally rather than outwardly. Like, there's some things that definitely need to be exported because the product is built in better places, but when we're the largest importer and exporter, and it seems like that, like the automotive industry, everything gets sent to Mexico or to Canada to kind of get everything built in certain parts of the engines and certain parts of the cars so they can be tested and made properly or cheaper. And that kind of is probably going into the fact of how we import and export things. But if we kind of consolidate and put tariffs on it, it's going to deter countries from, or companies from, sending these products outward to get worked on and have factories within the United States to kind of build these products. So we're not outsourcing everything. It's just a thought, which would be interesting to see if he can enforce that change. But because that's his main goal, is to kind of have everything come back and be internally within the United States to kind of build that stronghold that we're not relying on everything. Because if we are one, well, China is also, so the same countries that are the largest exporters are also the largest importers. That is kind of crazy. That is very, very crazy. Well, everything is crazy right now. I don't know what the fuck to think of it. Everything seems like it's on a constant fire, but hey, At least the cool thing is that Marvel might be making better stuff again. And hopefully Southwest can... Well, I think Spirit Airlines is for sure going to beat Southwest eventually. They're back on top. You don't know what's coming.